The power grid has been down for 3 days straight. Your neighborhood watch group fell apart after just the second night of all the screaming. There's this one guy a couple of streets over who's been perched on his roof with binoculars, and you're pretty sure he's not out there bird watching. The police stopped answering calls yesterday, and that fancy Ring doorbell you have is now just a useless piece of plastic hanging by your door. And to top it all off, you've got maybe half an hour before the sun goes down, and things get really interesting around here. But don't sweat it. We're about to transform your ordinary suburban house into a fortress using nothing but duct tape, pure spite, and whatever random junk you've got lying around in your drawers. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. That front door of yours? It's held together with screws that are probably smaller than a toddler's fingernail. The strike plate, that little metal piece your deadbolt slides into, is attached to the decorative trim with hardware that wouldn't even slow down a determined golden retriever. One solid kick, that's all it would take. One size 11 boot, and your supposedly secure entryway becomes an open invitation. But here's the thing about the apocalypse. The hardware stores are either completely looted or surprisingly unguarded. That means you're about to get very resourceful with whatever you already have in your garage. Okay, phase one, the door. We'll start with the front door. Not because it's the weakest point, because it's definitely not, but because it's the one place people expect to be strong. And in a survival situation, expectations can be powerful weapons. Grab your drill and find the longest screws you can get your hands on. I'm talking 3-inch, 4-inch, those bad boys you bought for that deck project you never got around to finishing. Rip out those pathetic half-inch screws from your strike plate and hinges. Replace them with the long ones. Drive them in deep until they bite into the wall studs behind the trim. What you've just done is turn your door frame from a flimsy suggestion into an actual structural part of your house. When someone tries to kick this door down now, the force will transfer into the very bones of your home. They'll probably break their foot before they break your door. Congratulations. You just bought yourself 3 minutes of kick resistance for the price of 6 screws. Now, let's talk about the hinges. Same deal here. Use those long screws. Use all of them. Because any attacker with half a brain isn't going to kick the lock side of the door. They're going to go straight for the hinges, pop those hinge pins, and lift the whole door right out of the frame. But not anymore. Your hinges are now bolted into the actual framework of the wall. They'd need a power saw and a good 20 minutes to get through them. And they definitely don't have either of those things. Time for a barricade. You know that wooden dowel rod from your closet? The one that's been holding up all those shirts you haven't worn since 20? Jam it at an angle from the door handle down to the floor. Physics is now your security guard. The angle spreads the force across the entire floor. No dowel, no problem. Use a chair. Wedge it under the doorknob. Use a broomstick, a mop, even that decorative oar you bought at Home Goods because you thought it looked nautical. Everything can be a weapon. Everything can be a tool. Phase 2. Windows are just lies. They're not security features at all. They're pre-installed entry points wrapped in a thin layer of wishful thinking. We're going to make them a lot less appealing to use. Duct tape, the gray miracle worker. Crisscross every ground floor window with duct tape in a grid pattern. This isn't for decoration, it's for structure. When glass breaks, it shatters into a million pieces, but taped glass spiderwebs. It holds together. It stays in the frame like a stubborn jigsaw puzzle made of razor blades. An intruder breaks the window and is faced with a sticky, jagged, clinging mess that'll shred their arms to ribbons. And it's loud. Every single piece of glass they pull away sounds like someone crunching chips in a library. You'll definitely hear them coming. Now shove your heaviest furniture up against the windows. Dressers, bookshelves, that treadmill you've been using as a clothes rack. Make it so that even if they do manage to break the glass, there's a 200-pound obstacle in their way. They'll have to move it, which means more noise, more time, and more effort. The 3 things they hate the most. And keep your curtains closed. Not because you're hiding, but so they can't see what you have, where you are, or whether you're armed. Uncertainty is a powerful psychological weapon. Let them wonder. Finally, phase 3, the sliding door problem. Sliding glass doors are a beautiful architectural joke. Most of them can be lifted right off their tracks. Cut a piece of wood, a broomstick, a 2x4 to fit perfectly in the track. Now the door won't slide. Simple and effective. But let's go a step further. Drill a hole at a downward angle through the sliding door frame and into the fixed frame. Drop a nail or a bolt through it. Now the door is pinned in place. They'd need to drill it out. Too loud and too slow. Bonus move. Smear the outside handle with grease, oil, or that expired mayonnaise that's been sitting in your fridge. Make it utterly disgusting to touch. Petty? Absolutely. Effective? You bet. Look around you. You've reinforced the doors, trapped the windows, and pinned the sliders. You've used physics, frustration, and household junk to build yourself a fortress. The sun is gone. The screaming is starting up again. Let them come. They're expecting an easy target. They're about to be very, very disappointed. Let's continue with the next phase. Phase 4. Garage doors are traitors. Your garage door can be opened in about 6 seconds with nothing more than a wire coat hanger. There's a little emergency release handle inside. An intruder just pushes the hanger through the top gap, hooks the handle, and pulls. Boom, they're in. And now they're in your garage, which connects directly to your house, which means they're basically already inside your home. So here's the fix. Zip tie that release handle tight. Use multiple zip ties. You can still yank it free in a real emergency, but a flimsy coat hanger won't have the leverage. Problem solved for about 30 cents. Next, unplug the opener. No power means no automatic opening. They'd have to manually lift that 150-pound door, which is loud, slow, and completely visible. Exactly what you want. Finally, park a car inside if you can. Even if they do manage to get the door open, there's a 2-ton obstacle in the way. They're not moving that quietly. Now for phase 5, psychological warfare. This is the fun part. Security isn't just physical, it's mental. You want them to think your house is a bad idea before they even try. First, fake the dog. Don't have one? Doesn't matter. Put out a massive steel water bowl by the back door. The kind you'd use for a Rottweiler. Toss a chewed-up rope toy in the yard. Clip a heavy chain leash to your fence. Put up a beware of dog sign with a picture of something that looks like it eats intruders for breakfast. Why does this work? Because dogs are chaos. They bark, they bite, they're unpredictable. Even a 10% chance of running into a bog is enough to make most criminals pick a different house. You're not exactly lying, you're just heavily implying. Next, boots by the door. Big ones, muddy, size 13. It suggests a large, working-class person who's home and probably owns tools that could easily double as weapons. It doesn't matter if you're a 5'2" accountant. They don't know that. Then noise, leave a radio on. Talk radio is best. Voices suggest people. People suggest witnesses. Witnesses suggest risk. And risk suggests, let's try next door. And finally, lights on timers. Not all of them, just a few in random patterns. Living room on for 20 minutes, then off. Bedroom light on, then off. Kitchen light. It looks like someone's moving through the house. Someone awake. Someone alert. Okay, phase 6, the perimeter. You've locked down the house. Now make the approach itself suck. Dump bags of gravel under windows and along side paths. You cannot walk on gravel quietly. Every step sounds like a snare drum. It's a natural alarm system. Next, thorny plants. Got rose bushes? Plant them under the windows. Anything with thorns becomes a biological barrier. It'll shred clothes, skin, and leave DNA behind. Not worth it for them. Last, make movement dangerous. A garden hose stretched across a dark path, a fake motion light fixture with a visible sensor. They'll assume it works and avoid that entire area. This brings us to our last line of defense. Phase 7, the interior fallback. Everything we've done buys you time, but if someone gets through, you need a safe room. Pick one room. A bedroom is best. You're already there at night. Make sure it has a solid door and reinforce it the same way you did the front door. Long screws, a barricade, a strong lock. Inside that room, you need a charged phone, a flashlight, a weapon of choice, water and snacks. You might be in there for a while. Train your family with a code word. Pineapple, thunderstorm, something you'd never say by accident. When they hear it, everyone goes to the safe room. No questions, no heroics, just move. Here's the beautiful part. The science of why this all works. You're not trying to build a bunker, you're just trying to be slightly harder to get into than the house next door. Criminals operate on a risk-reward calculation. Every single obstacle you add increases their risk. Every second they spend trying to get in is another second they might get caught. The 3-minute rule is real. If it takes longer than 3 minutes, they bail. Your reinforced door is 3 minutes of kicking. Your fake dog is instant psychological doubt. Your gravel garden path is constant noise anxiety. When you stack enough of these small obstacles, the math just stops working in their favor.